I'm going to show you how to create custom step syntax with Java Cucumber without needing to create extra Java code. This will be combined with a web-based editor to provide a scalable and reusable model for behavior-driven test case authoring. This widens the audience for transparent and understandable test case execution, which can be integrated into a DevOps pipeline all the way to production deployment validation. One of the problems with a Cucumber Java-based framework is the issue of maintainability of the test cases, because often people who want to write test cases are not very well skilled in writing or maintaining Java code. And this is an accessibility issue because you want to widen the audience that can execute and also author test cases. So with CukesPlus, I added the functionality of a macro language, which is a step definition language that does not use Java. It is very easy for a non-Java developer to understand how to compose blocks of syntax and behavior from existing syntax. Another issue is that a Cucumber Java-based framework usually needs an integrated development environment or an IDE to execute. The CukesPlus framework actually packages a web-based editor which can be used by anybody, as well as all of the macro and extra functionality within a single jar file. This means that the CukesPlus framework can be executed as a standalone application. This is the CukesPlus framework web-based editor. This allows test scenario and macro files and other files on the local hard drive to be edited in a web-based editor that anybody can use. Here I'm executing a simple test scenario which uses Selenium-based syntax. Then a test report is displayed using the default Cucumber HTML report generator. You can see that screenshots can be gathered from the web browser. This Selenium-based syntax is actually quite low level. It opens URLs, it clicks on buttons or clicks on links or web elements. It types text into web elements, and also it allows text to be retrieved from web element text or web element attributes. The text can then be validated against expected values, and the test scenario can pass or fail depending on the results of those tests, of those validations. This is the syntax report. This low-level Selenium-based syntax is quite flexible, but it could be a little bit too low-level for a test case to be understandable. So this is where the macro language for the CukesPlus framework comes into play. Certain areas of this test scenario can be grouped into higher level behavioral expectations. For example, opening the web page and navigating to the login page and validating that you're on the login page can be an initial step given a RN-lobby website. Next, I want to attempt a bad login. So, when attempting an incorrect login is the second step. Here, I am indenting the syntax which I intend to move to this given step, and I'm renaming the given step here, given a RN-lobby website login page. When I'm attempting an incorrect login, I want to express the intent that I'm going to move these step lines to the macro. So I just indent them temporarily in the scenario. And then I verify the login failed. And the login failure validation is expressed in these steps. So I copy all of these lines from the scenario into a macro file. The macro file has a couple of existing macros and we're not really interested in those right now. What we're interested in doing is to define some new macros. These macros can then be used by the CukesPlus framework without compiling or building any Java code at all. I save this scenario. Those 3 step lines will be implemented by these 3 new macro definitions for those step lines. The indentation for the steps in the macro definition is important because it separates the macro implementation from the macro definition. As a final step, I edit the $ characters to escape the $ because inside the macro language it has a concept of named parameters to step parameters, so we want to escape all of the $ values so that they get translated properly. Now, when I run this scenario is successful. When I reload the feature file using the web-based editor, I can see that the new syntax that was defined in the macro, given a rnlobby website login page, is now in the code completion hints. The code completion hints, like a drop-down box, is actually very useful because it means that you don't have to remember all of the syntax. Actually, all of the syntax as well is included in that syntax report. We can see in a standard Cucumber HTML-based report that the macro syntax and the implementation of the macro syntax is actually indented, so that even in a standard Cucumber report it shows what are macro steps and what are the steps being used in the top level feature file scenario. The web-based editor, you might have noticed, is displaying lines with green after the test completes. This indicates that everything has executed correctly. If we add a deliberate mistake into the validation, then we can see that the second step and this red line in the macro indicates where the error is. Of course, this would also be displayed in the Cucumber report, but the web-based editor makes it a lot easier to see where macro and feature scenario step failures are. I've now corrected the error in the macro and the test scenario executes correctly again. The CukesPlus framework makes use of a default properties file, and these properties can be expressed in terms of variable lookup or property lookup. These property lookups are actually shown in the Cucumber report file. This means that the text or attributes as text inside web elements can be fetched and stored inside a property, and then that property validated against equality or inequality of certain expected values. This makes it very easy to compose quite complex behavior using lower level steps that are implemented in Cucumber Java. For each test scenario, wherever there is a property lookup, it will indicate the value that it was able to find within the Java Virtual Machines properties database. Of course, all of these values can be combined with one or more variable or properties lookup. This is a very short overview of the macro and web-based editor for the CukesPlus framework. Being a Cucumber Java-based framework, it can of course be included as a dependent jar and expanded with your own glue code. Thank you very much for watching this very quick overview about the CukesPlus framework. Have a great day wherever you are.